Welcomed 7 new businesses to downtown Watertown last year. C&J's Barbecue, Osaka Hibachi Ramen Thai, Schuett's on East Main, Nails to Tails, Pine Hill Insurance Services, Satya Studio, and Project Fitness. We estimate more than 16,000 people attended roughly 30 special events put on by the Main Street Program, Chamber of Commerce, and Watertown Tourism, plus all the new activities and concerts held last year at the square. Private property improvements topped $993,000 with more than 20 building improvement projects completed. The Main Street Program awarded $19,413 in facade and sign grants. And here's another impressive number. More than 1,159 volunteer hours were donated to the Main Street Program in 2023. This comes with a value of $33,611. Picture looks familiar, right, Peg?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that a year already? Wow.
And 2023 was another great year for bringing awards home to Watertown. We had tons of fun at the Wisconsin Main Street Awards last April, with the Watertown Public Library winning the award for Best Public and Private Partnership for its incredible $10 million expansion and renovation of course, this beautiful building, which you are sitting in right now. And so pictured is Library Board President Chris Kopis, Library Director Peg Chekai, and former Board President Jonathan Lampy. In addition, White Oak Builders was awarded Best Interior Renovation Project over $50,000 for its incredible work in restoring and reactivating 14 East Main Street, which is now their design showroom, and it's so beautiful, and that's Dan and Maggie Wagner pictured. So the city has been at the forefront of the transformation taking place downtown. So it was very rewarding to receive a special placemaking award from the Mid-America Economic Development Council last fall for our work on the library, the town square, and Sharp Corner Park. We also take great pleasure in acknowledging the important work of others and volunteerism in Watertown. We were so pleased to present 2 couples with the special Making a Difference on Main Street Award at the Chamber's annual celebration in February. So this is Julie Chapman and Barry Aschenfelter, and then Conrad Bowman and Kathy Steinbrink. You'll probably see them downtown early in the morning or late at night. They water all the flowers. So they take the city's truck out and they do that wonderful job that makes our downtown look so pretty. And there's usually really, really big spiders. But they're very brave. So Julie and Barry also will help us with putting wristbands on people for events, checking tickets, just being a part of whatever they can do to help out Main Street. And then Conrad and Kathy are responsible for putting the corn stalks on our lampposts downtown, which actually is a huge job when you're putting corn stalks on 40 lampposts. So moving ahead, facade improvement projects. Among the most important aspects of our work as a Main Street Program is beautification and building facades downtown. Each year we raise funds to give away as facade grants to help improve the overall appearance of downtown Watertown. We have seen an incredible number of facade beautification projects completed over the past several years. And these are partnerships that have taken place between private building and business owners, the Main Street Program, the Redevelopment Authority, and the City of Watertown. On the screen are a couple of photos from 2023 facade and sign grant check passings, with one being at 202 South 3rd Street, one at Far Horizons Imports, and another at Chandler House Bakery. In addition to improving the building facades and signage, we saw the restoration of one mural, that's the 1st Brigade Band mural, and the installation of a brand new mural along the side of Pine Hill Farm depicting the Octagon House and First Kindergarten. It is a goal of both the Main Street Program and Watertown Tourism to restore all the existing murals downtown and continue to add new murals where appropriate. And Robin Kaufman is our Director of Watertown Tourism, who plays a huge role in this effort. Since 2020, the Watertown Historic Preservation and Downtown Design Commission has presented the William P. Lindborg Award for Historic Preservation to worthy downtown property restorations. As you may know, Bill Lindborg purchased the former Schempf department store building in 2014, pictured here, and began a multi-year restoration of the property. This stunning building is now home to Ava's A Posh Boutique and Blush Hair Boutique. To recognize Bill's incredible commitment to our community, we created this award in his honor. On Saturday, March 9th, we were pleased to present Ryan Jones of Central Block Kitchen and Designs with the 2023 William P. Limborg Award for Historic Preservation. Bill lives in California, but has family ties to Watertown and was with us that day to present the award. We are also very pleased to present the William P. Limborg Award for Historic Preservation honorable mention to Belle Lumen of Century 21 Endeavor for the restoration of her building at 400 East Main Street. And Belle is here tonight. Let's give a round of applause for these great projects. So next up, I would like to ask Sandy Budowitz to come up and talk about upcoming events for 2024. So joining the board will be Ryan Byer, congratulations, and then our 3 incumbents were all re-elected, so thank you.
Okay, we have lots of cool events that happen downtown, a few of which have already taken place. We had a new event this year in February that was called our Downtown Sweet Stroll, which went over very well. If you're familiar with our walks, we do the morning mixer and we do the craft beer walk. The chamber does a wine walk, which are all alcohol related, which people enjoy. However, the sweet stroll was a little different. So it was sweets and treats and cookies, some mocktails, I believe, some locations had, and it was really fun. Families got into it, and so we're talking about possibly doing one in the fall. We'll see what transpires. We gotta find a good date for that, but I'm not gonna read through all of them. We just finished a successful morning mixer at the beginning of this month. Oops, sorry, I touched it. Keep my hands off there. Okay. And most recently, we just had our beach party bingo last Thursday, which was a lot of fun. If you've never been to one of our bingo events, it's a blast. We have another one coming up in fall, the end of October, which is our Witch's Brew bingo. Very popular if you like to dress up in costume. It is really a lot of fun. And then I'm not sure what else to touch on. We have created, this last year, we did start some retail events just to focus on bringing people down to shop and dine and visit the businesses, and not so much as a fundraiser, but just as a way to get traffic downtown. I mean, that's really our goal. Most of our events, we want to draw people to Watertown and downtown to see all the cool businesses that we have. So one thing that isn't, I don't think, on here, which I'm going to mention next, is the farmers market, which isn't technically downtown, but the Main Street Program has been the administrator of the farmers market at Riverside Park since 2016. We've grown, and as much as we'd love to bring it downtown, maybe eventually we will. We've got some library's done one, the town square will be probably dabbling in that as well. So baby steps, we're still gonna do both. But we've grown enough where we have found a lovely person to help us administer the farmers market. She's a vendor. And so at this time, I'm gonna invite Missy Kukan to come up and just say a few words about what she's got planned.
Thanks, Sandy. I know as a former high school teacher how hard these meetings are after work. You just want to go home, so I'll make this as quick as I can. My name is Missy Kukan. And to give you a little bit of a background, 11 years ago when I was living in Cedarburg, I fell in love with the most amazing man, Kevin. And some of you in here know him, and I can see you smiling at me, Kevin. So you're Clifford, not my husband. Anyway, over the course of our relationship, I got to know Watertown. And coming from Cedarburg, I was a little spoiled. But the minute I saw this town, I knew it had good bones. There's something about this town, for as cute as Cedarburg is, it doesn't have a sense of community. And this town has it. And I felt it right away. And Kevin his family's been here for 5 generations, so the stories were amazing that I was hearing. So maybe I was already sort of part of the community, marrying into it. But 5 years ago, we got married, and COVID hit, and so I find myself inside with nothing to do, and I start making candles, and Kevin looks at me and says, "Now what? Now what do you do with all these candles?" And he lovingly said, "Hey, call Melissa Lampy and see if you can become part of the farmer's market." And I did. And I did it for 2 reasons, not to start a business. That was the cherry on the top. It was really to meet people. At my age, my youngest was in high school, I was not going to be creating a social outlet that way. And it was through the farmer's market that is truly a community, where I was meeting every walk of life in Watertown and building friendships and relationships that are really genuine and carried through. And I fell so deeply in love with the town, with the farmer's market, and talking with Melissa, was able to say, I'd really like to help out, and was given this opportunity now to be the manager of the farmer's market. And what I found working at the farmer's market is the longevity of this market is unbelievable. It started in the 1850s. It was the second Tuesday of every month, and it was a cattle fair. And it has gone nonstop since. So we are the oldest farmer's market, continual farmer's market in the state. We also are, statistically, these just came out from Madison, our market size is in the top 2 of the market. So we have a pretty good market size. And the amazing thing about where our market is, we have bathrooms, we have parks. The 2 greatest assets of this town are our downtown and Riverside Park. And so we get to use both of them. And under this umbrella of the Main Street, what we do is brought back to the Main Street. However, with any endeavor, in order to keep it thriving, we need some support from you, from the businesses in this community. And I'm gonna just hand something out. I'm gonna do the teacher thing and say, take one and pass them around, please. There are several areas that we're hoping the businesses in this community could become sponsors of the farmer's market. And there are 2 main areas that this would help our community as a whole. First, it's making sure that we continue to strengthen our community. The farmer's market, investing in the farmer's market is investing in our community because we are under the Main Street umbrella. Anything that we do goes back into the Main Street program. And it shows the community how important you businesses find that it's paying back for itself. For instance, this year we want to create a farmer's market cookbook that would be all recipes from community members about the produce and the products they are buying at the market, including stories from markets past, and then could be sold in some of our stores. Literatus would be a great place to showcase this cookbook, but then used for Christmas gifts, and all that money goes back into the Main Street program for our facades, for the beautification of our city. And the more we work together, we work with you, we have more to bring in. We also believe strongly that it would support our local economy even more if our businesses sponsor us so that we can do things like the cookbook. We could create bags, reusable bags with all the sponsorship names that are sold and used for people within the city when they're shopping. It keeps our money circulating within the city. It creates jobs. We want to try and become more self-sustaining so our city can grow more. It also brings more recognition to the buildings, to the businesses. And it's not just the Main Street businesses, it's all the businesses in our downtown. So these would also offer networking opportunities. You probably don't think about how you could work with the farmer's market, but say Sandy wants to offer a value added for her brides. Here are some ideas, brides, that you could use for bridesmaids gifts, for giveaways at your showers. It could be so cute to have little breads and jams from Crimson Kitchen Markets or something. A couple years ago, I've done candles for several brides, and they all sing Watertown now. And people at these weddings aren't all from Watertown, but I've gotten business from that because they see it. Oh, wait, this comes from Watertown? Oh, I want to go to Watertown. I think our city is sometimes, I've heard it talked about as the best kept secret. Let's stop making it a secret. Let's get it out there. We could also, if you sponsor, you have a sponsorship booth where you could come down and it'd be great if Ava's did an accessory show. This is how to use your accessories. And I'm thinking about things I know. Obviously, there's 1,000 ways we could go with this. But like Drager's Floral showing people how to make flower arrangements. So it's not just our 3,000 followers, but it's the followers of the businesses as well. And now you've got multiple audiences coming in. And you have brand visibility. Your names are seen on the webpage. Your names are seen on Facebook. Your names are seen on all the signage. We want our business names to become like Kleenex. It's not facial tissue, it's Kleenex. It's that constant brand recognition. You also have a very specific audience that you can target to. This is an audience that is all about self-sustainability. It's about buying local, and you can market directly to them. And you have now our audience of 3,000 plus for your audience. It enhances your reputation, it enhances foot traffic. I can go on and on and on, but I'll stop. So looking at the handout, you have the bullets of what I went over, but on the back are the sponsorship opportunities. Before I get into it, I'm really excited to announce that the Joseph and Sharon Darcy Foundation have already committed to sponsoring the farmers, to being one of the sponsors of the farmers market. And as John said, absolutely Joe would support the farmers market, being who he was and what he did, and they got kind of a kick out of that. It was a cattle fair to begin with. So there are 4 levels. There's the asparagus, which is $1,000, and you would have free booth access, sponsorship access, 12 times a season. And of course, in the cookbook, there'll be a full page ad of your business. And then the next are begonia, and that's $750 with free booth access 9 times a season. These are days of your choosing. I just need time to make sure that it's set up for you. And a half a page ad in the Watertown Farmers Market Cookbook. Corn for $500, free booth access 7 times a season with a quarter page ad in the cookbook. And the daylily at $250 with free booth access 4 times a season and a 1/8 ad. There are so many more possibilities, but I cannot stress enough, whatever we make goes into the Main Street program. And the more we can bring in and join with you, it helps our community. And that's what is key about Watertown, is its communal feeling. So thank you for listening. And I put my email on there. I don't have a phone number, except for my personal one, and I don't think I've given that out yet. But email, yes.
Missy, I have a question. I'm assuming the sponsorships are unlimited. You could have 10 asparagus, you could have.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Any other quick questions? Okay, thank you.
Just give me 1 second to queue up our next presenter.
Oh, did I get it?
No?
Oh.
Before we get started, I did omit one business when I was listing off our new 2023 businesses downtown, and that is Strike Zone on South 3rd Street. So I'd like to call up Hannah Otten. Joe, you're not coming up? You're gonna sit tight? Okay, all right. Well, it is my pleasure to introduce Hannah Otten of Sweet Talkin Treats to talk about her and Joe's journey to open their bakery business and their continued success in Watertown.
Hello, everyone. I'm Hannah Otten, and together with my husband Joe and my mom Stephanie Bykowski, we own Sweet Talkin Treats on 3rd Street. We got our start with the Watertown Farm Market Kitchen in September of 2011, back when Joe still wears glasses and I was trying out bangs. So we used the kitchen there for a year while starting to get our name out in the Watertown area, connecting with a lot of new people and businesses, and learning a ton about running a business. In the spring of 2012, we bought the building at 108 South 3rd Street and started planning for our new brick and mortar business. We opened at our current location in September of 2012, just 6 weeks after we had our oldest son, Ray. Taking care of a newborn and opening the bakery at the same time certainly had its challenges. Managing our time between filling the display cases, completing orders of cakes, cupcakes, cookies, and more, trying to reach more people and grow our business, while also trying to manage a baby's sleep schedule felt very chaotic, to say the least. We quickly decided to move into the apartment upstairs from the bakery to make things a bit easier. Our youngest son, Walter, was born in 2014, and both kids have loved living in a bakery house, as they used to call it. Our family loves living in downtown Watertown, as there's always something to do within walking distance from home. Our walks somehow almost always end up at one of the local coffee shops, as the boys can never get enough hot chocolate. And getting to walk to the movie theater when new movies come out, or to the library, the farmers markets, or the bowling alley, one of the downtown restaurants for lunch or dinner, or to one of many nearby parks, or simply searching for Watertown rocks is such a treat. We truly feel so lucky to live in the heart of such an amazing community. One of our favorite things about running a bakery in Watertown is getting to work with other local businesses and the friendships we've made in the process. Throughout the years, we've made many different treats for the pajama parties at the town cinema, St. Patrick's Day treats at Blind's Irish Pub, cinnamon rolls for cinnamon roll ice cream at Mullins, collaborated on some unique treats for events at the Drafty Cellar, made logo cookies for different businesses, and made treats for fundraising events with Cornerstone of Grace, House of Peace, students at the Watertown High School, and so much more. It's such a joy to work with other organizations and to be a part of the community in new ways. Another thing that we love about the bakery life, and the true reason we started this business, is having the honor of being a part of so many celebrations and getting to put a smile on so many faces. We love making custom treats for our customers and bringing their ideas to life. We get excited when people come to us with a unique idea for a cake or some other treat that will make their loved ones feel special, appreciated, and loved. And it's an amazing feeling to be a part of that. We also occasionally get to make a cake for kids who bring in their own ideas for their birthdays. It's so much fun to see a child's reaction when we can take their creative designs and make the perfect birthday cake for them. When we started this business, it was just the three of us and a dream, and lots of help from family and friends. In the 11 years since opening our shop, we've been able to hire a total of 18 team members to help with the day-to-day tasks. We've been able to get new equipment to help us get things done more efficiently. And we have found ways to reach more customers. In the last 5 years, we have more than doubled our revenue. While we sold about 1,200 cake pops in 2018, that number has grown to 9,500 cake pops in 2023. Another popular item is our cinnamon rolls, of which we sold about 700 in 2018 and 2,500 in 2023. And our biggest seller has always been our cupcakes, of which we sold 8,800 in 2018, and we sold 15,000 cupcakes last year. This growth has allowed us to have 2 full-time team members in addition to ourselves and 1 part-timer. While we love being in this business, it's not always cupcakes and sprinkles. We have faced some challenges and had to adapt and grow to keep everything running smoothly. One of our biggest challenges has been figuring out how to price our products so that we can support our family and our team members while still providing a good value to our customers in a time when all of our expenses keep rising. Another challenge has been needing to tweak some recipes after listening to customer feedback to keep improving our products and make sure we're providing high quality and delicious treats. Managing our time to keep up with the business side of things like marketing, email correspondence, and financial planning can be a struggle for me as well. And of course, COVID had an effect on every business. For us, with a business built mostly around making treats for events where groups of people will be celebrating together, it became difficult when every party was canceled. We had to adjust the products we offered and started making cookie and cupcake decorating kits for people to use at home, delivered Mother's Day cupcake bouquets, and relied on the generosity and fierce loyal support of our customers to make it through. In our 12 years of business so far, the most exciting thing has been watching the growth of this community. From seeing our customers grow their families through being a part of their wedding celebrations, and then baby showers and their kids' birthday cakes and graduation cakes, to seeing all the improvements to the downtown area over the years. As we look toward our future, we are currently working on upgrading our kitchen so that we can take more orders and better serve the community. Just today, we were able to get a new to us 80-quart mixer running in the kitchen, which will allow us to make 4 times the amount of cake batter, dough, and frosting than we've been able to make at one time up until this point. We also hope to get another oven so that we can bake more items at once or use the ovens at different temperatures at once. We only have one. And we will potentially hire another team member this year as well. We look forward to many more years in Watertown and are excited to see what the future holds for all of us. Thank you.
Any questions for Hannah? Drag her back up here. Thank you so much. Come out.
Oh, I forgot we brought cake pops too.
We can put them on the back table. Thank you. All right. Where's Wes? So we will now hear from Wes Cirkovich, owner of Literatus & Co., another unique, beautifully restored and vibrant business in downtown Watertown. And with him is Isabel Eller. Welcome.
Yeah, we changed it up. So Isabel's gonna.
Right here's your advance.
All right, perfect. Right, so as Melissa said, those who don't know me, I'm Wes Cirkovich, and this is Literatus & Co. Next slide, Isabel. So when I was talking to Melissa about tonight and what we're supposed to do, we kind of agreed that best is just a sort of top-line business overview and profile, who we are, what we do, how and why we do it, and how that's driven our success so far to date. We are now 4 years, going to be 5 years, going to have our 5th annual grand reopening. I know everybody likes the annual 5th and multiple reopenings we do every year. Coming up this October, we were organized in 2019. We started operations September of 2019 when prior business and owner in there, Tribeca, went bankrupt. So we took over their operations and hung up our sign proudly out front on October 1st of 2019. Got everything going right as COVID hit the next year. Privately held by a small group of committed owners. So most of the owners do not live in Watertown, but they are committed to keeping, maintaining, and growing a thriving book community here in our town. We also have a unique local management team. So we're a little bit different in that the range and experience that we have in a really young team is phenomenal. So we bring a lot of different perspective to how we operate, how we run a business. And the biggest thing we did is us with the owners from day one agreed, A, we have to be a brand. We have to be a brand-driven business. And B, we have to be a destination business. And it's a real simple math. So any small business owners who are in town who don't realize this, or you do realize it, your spend on an out-of-town person coming to your business is 3 to 4 times your average spend of an in-town. It's not because Watertown people are cheap. It's because when you make the work and the effort to get to a location, you are automatically predetermined to spend more to make that work and effort worth it. So from the beginning, we've been focused on being a destination business, drawing as much business from outside of Watertown as we do inside. We're about a 60-40 split on gross revenue. In town, 60, out of town, 40. Our transaction base, to show you how that math works, we're probably about 70 to maybe 75% in-town traffic versus out of town. So you see how you multiply. 20 to 25% of our traffic provides 40% of our revenue. That's the out-of-town multiplier spending effect. So anyway, from the very beginning, we decided to do that. Dedicate one. Okay, next slide. I'm sorry. Now we rehearsed this seamlessly. For those of you who don't know, Isabel is manager at Literatus and Company, my right hand, my partner and everything, good and bad, as this presentation is going. So, what we do, first and foremost, a bookstore, new, used, vintage, and rare. Saddest day in my experience at the store was October of the year we assumed control. Gentleman comes into the store, takes a look around at this wee little U of books that we had, and said, yeah, not much of a bookstore, are you? Turned around and left. Sad day. But it also was an inspirational day, right? Because we knew where we wanted to go. Where we wanted to go is where we are today. We went from about 500 titles when we took over the operations to over 12,000 titles just in new books alone today. Add another 3,000 to 4,000 titles in used books. Add about 500 titles just in rare books. Our rare book collection, so we've become known now throughout the state and throughout the region, both as having a rare book collection and as buyers of rare books. Our oldest book dates from 1690, and as you can see, we kind of go up from there. We have a very unique treatise on Massachusetts to join the Constitution that we talked with Boston College about, because there's potentially an identifier of who wrote that anonymous text. So it's a whole different world, but it brings in a different class of clientele. So rare books, we don't sell them often, we don't have a lot of them, but they put you in a perspective that is completely different, right? We also do upscale coffee cafe. So we try to distinguish ourselves in the market. Specialty tea, specialty coffee, yeah. We do more of a European style pastry versus what else you see on the streets. Try to keep ourselves separated. We are the home of the big cheese. If you're not come in for the classic grilled cheese and tomato soup, the 12-year-old special, you don't know what you're missing. And then we do derivations thereof with a variety of elegant quiches, sandwiches, soups, and more. We now have an area that we built into over the last year, the largest selection of puzzles and games outside of Madison, Milwaukee. And if our vision can come to fruition over time, we will be the largest in southeastern Wisconsin, if we can get there. And then we have a growing art supply segment, because as we see that come out of Joanne, which is what told me declaring bankruptcy, right? As we look at that local supplier, the Walmarts of that, condensing down and eliminating some of those areas, we have an opportunity to grow there. Okay, and why and how we do it? Well, everything that we do, all the segments we go in fit naturally with being a bookstore. Brand driven. Experience creation. So when you come in, we don't sell books. We don't sell coffee. We sell an experience. The books or the coffee get you in the first time. The experience is what keeps you coming back. We have a couple that comes from Stoughton probably once a month just to get the sandwiches because they love the atmosphere, they love the environment, right? And we focus on being a destination business with a strong local base and a high outside traffic flow. So dedication, how we do it is dedication to exceptional customer service. And it is nothing accidental. Everything is done with purpose. So how our team members greet you and say, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, it's not hello. Hello always ends on a down note. Good morning always ends up on an up note. Everything is done with purpose, from the way we design our shirts, to the way we do our programs, the way we do our advertising, our graphics, how we do our outreach. Everything is purpose-driven to build the brand and build the destination business. Dedication to excellent product quality. We are consistently doing cuttings and tastings of our product. Isabel found it a little odd at first where we make all this product up, you take a bite, spit it out, and you chuck the rest. Right, because everyone needs all that, but also because you have to constantly taste to make sure you're delivering top quality. If we're producing something for a customer and it's not done right, we have no problem telling team members, chuck it up. Chuck it up. I don't want it on the floor if it's not perfect. Dedication to unique, well-curated selection of books, puzzles, games, and art supplies. So, yeah, we build, right, from what's on the existing base. So you go out there, you're going to have some top-selling novels, we're going to have some of the core books and areas. That's the foundation, but we build from that with a unique selection of books, art supplies, puzzles, games, things that when people come into the store, it's an aha, it's a surprise, it's a discovery, it's a, I'm not going to find that anywhere else. And it's much a customer's chagrin, they come in after hemming and hawing over purchasing a particular book for several months, and guess what? It's sold, and no, there's not another one. So it's that discovery, it's that hunt that people have learned to accept and understand that we have. We have a continued growth mindset and focus. My grandma, I don't know about yours, but my grandma said the only day you don't grow is the day you die. Right. It is constant growth. It is constantly adding something new, constantly a new experience. That's why we do our annual grand reopening. So every time we've made changes over the course of the year, we want to reintroduce those changes to the customer base so they can become excited and experience something new about Literatus all over again. And then we're business-based decision making. We have no problem with the Main Street Program or city governments or taxing or anything else, but we don't make decisions that way. We don't care about grants. We rarely, I don't think we've ever taken a grant. I think we did. No, we didn't. No, anyway. But we don't do it. Why? Not because we're standoffish, but because we do everything from what's right for the business and right for the brand first. If there's a benefit to it or there's another way to help with that, great, we're open to it. But everything is business driven first, and we control our brand 100%. Nobody else gets a fingertip to touch onto it. How does this work? How does that end up? Well, I'll show you the results in a second. But the best day of my life at the store, after the worst day, go forward a couple of years, and a young lady comes through Watertown with her fiance. They're on their way back to Virginia. They were going to make a quick pit stop for a quick snack and a bite to eat. 3.5 hours later, they've had pastries, they've had coffee, they've ordered lunches, they've had drinks. They come down with a stack of books, new and vintage and used, and she looks at her fiancé as they're checking out and says, I would move to a town for a place like this. That's when you become a destination. That's when you know you're doing it right. So that all translates into business results. Our gross sales. So we annualized 2019 because we were only open for 4 months. So if we said, well, let's stretch how that would look for the year, because otherwise the growth number is phenomenal. So on a theoretical annualized 2019 revenue, we grew 62% 2019 to 2020 in the year of COVID. Post-COVID, we grew another 81%, almost double our sales. And of course, now we're starting to get to the law of large numbers, because as our numbers getting better, bigger and bigger, that percentage is harder and harder to maintain, right? 21 to 22, 27%, 22 to 23, 22%. This year we're projecting 4.4, actually 4.432% growth, because that gets us to a very specific number that Isabel and I have had as a very specific goal. So we're already ahead of that curve, so we're touch wood, right? Praise God, we're going to get there. But if we look, the 22, 20, so the approximately 50% growth from 21 to 23, that in dollar value is as great, if not greater than the 80% growth. So law of large numbers. We keep the dollar volume continuing to grow. So does it work? Yeah, it does. I know Melissa had a piece about getting people out to understand being a destination business and how to be it. I can tell you, if you didn't take advantage of that, you should. You should learn how you can incorporate becoming a destination business for your business if you're on Main Street, because that makes Main Street a destination, and that makes your business a destination, draws in that incremental revenue. So can't preach it strong and hard enough. For the future for us, we're looking at continued internal expansion, offerings in area. Every time we can eke out another couple square feet of display space or shelf space, we do it. We're looking at external market growth. The right one, the right win are both a little bit to be determined, but we do understand at a certain point we will max out what we can turn in our limited square footage. Challenges, I think like a lot of businesses and people down on Main Street, it is the Main Street reconstruction. Yeah, I have concern. No offense to anybody from the city, but I have a little bit of concern over the vision. I have concern over the purpose-driven outcome. I don't want an outcome, I want a purpose-driven outcome. What are you looking to do and create with the physical infrastructure of Main Street? I don't want just nice lampposts and new concrete. I want to know that we've designed it front end to back end as a destination. Kukan, I'm forgetting your first name.
Missy.
Missy. As Missy said, right? It is one of the assets. It is one of the jewels of this town. It should be thought about. It should be looked at best practices from other communities that are similar in size and shape on how you use that infrastructure to create, whether it's an outdoor mall effect or whether it's a historic draw effect, something that draws people in. And then, of course, the execution. I'm always concerned if you have a front door on Main Street that's going to be torn up for any period of time. That's always a concern. Right, opportunities, the Main Street reconstruction done right. I think it'll be brilliant for this town. I think it'll be brilliant for those of us who run businesses in and near Main Street. Private partnering programs. So we do a lot with the Main Street program, but we also do a lot with Mac at the movie theater. We look at businesses that have like consumer groups, and we like to partner with them because we don't need or want to offer everything. But if we can combine with other businesses, we can create a pool of offerings that are going to appeal to a larger consumer base and still be able to do it cost effectively, right? So it's a movie and a book, or it's a dinner and a movie kind of a night. Those are things we can do. And we're always looking for those types of opportunities to join in on. And then with the city and with Main Street and everybody else, we really do want to help in creating a problem solve, not a roadblock effect. I mean, too often I've heard people go, well, you can't work with the city of Watertown. And I'm like, I don't know who you're working with then. I mean, everybody I've worked with has usually been pretty amenable to trying to solve issues to get things to move forward. So I think continuing that approach is an opportunity. That's us. That's Literatus and Co. If there are any questions, otherwise I'll turn it back to Melissa.
Any questions for Wes? Have you ever thought about taking like a master class
On what?
on business?
I mean, anybody who comes in pretty well knows. I mean, Isabel hates it because it's like somebody will come in and ask a question. Look, why don't we sit down at the table? And 3 hours later, Wes is pulling out a multi-dimensional spreadsheet. But yeah, no, I mean, more than happy to partner with anybody if anybody ever wants to tap into us and what we do and how and why we do it. Because we're all vested, we're all in this together, guys. You know, red green show. I'm rooting for you, right? So, yeah.
Okay, next I would like to invite up Stephanie Jewell. Come on up, Stephanie. Stephanie is our events and programming coordinator for the Benson Family Town Square, and she's just going to talk about a couple of events coming up.
All right, I just came to give you guys a quick update. We've got a lot of stuff planned at the square. Just to kind of give you an idea, last year we did 36 events from the time we opened in May until the end of the year. And that was private events as well as the public concerts. This year, right now, we have 68 scheduled events. So we have a lot going on down there. So just to give you kind of an idea, this was we decided to call it a birthday bash. So we'll be doing this annually. May 18th, 11 to 7. There's going to be a ton of stuff going on. We've tried to incorporate a lot of the businesses that were involved the first grand opening. So you'll see those as far as like, especially the food places that are coming. We're going to have all kinds of kids activities. This year we added a magician in, a face painter. We are going to be having somebody here doing chair massages. Yoga is now going to be family Zumba. We changed that because it's going to be too busy down there to try to concentrate on yoga. So we changed it to Zumba, something a little more fun. But there'll be all kinds of things on social media that will be coming, different types of things about our selfie contest and that type of thing as everything kind of progresses forward. But so that's our birthday bash. We are also working on a special flavor. Mullins are going to come up with a special flavor, and they asked for Barton Benson's input, so they're currently kind of concocting that. So they will have one for the summer. The next concert, so this is our concert series for the summer. We tried to keep it standard for the times, but some of the bands just didn't work out. So we kind of highlighted the ones that are not going to be a standard 7 to 9. But that's kind of our lineup for the summer for the concerts. This year we're going to do Saturdays instead of Thursdays. We thought that worked out better for most people. Again, it's always free admission. We are going to have a little bit different beer mix-ups this year, so we'll be working on that with the different beer vendors. The other things that we're going to be doing is you're going to see some posts around town that look like this. This is our Food Truck Mondays. So we decided to do food trucks in the square, which is what we were told it was always kind of planned for. But we chose Mondays because most of the restaurants in town are closed on Mondays. So we tried to stick with the day that was beneficial to everybody. I'm still kind of getting that up to date as far as who's coming when, trying to come up with local as much as possible. So any of you want to participate, please reach out to me. I would be happy to have any of you down there. So get in touch with me about that. We're also going to be doing pop-up food trucks. And the food trucks that I just mentioned are going to be from 4 to 7. They're going to be in the evenings. We had a lot of people that said they work out of town, so they'd like to be able to come and enjoy the food trucks as well. We're also going to have one a month starting in June, a pop-up during the day on Mondays from 11 to 2. So again, you'll see the food trucks and stuff that are going to be coming for that. The other thing we're going to be doing is a Thursday night market. So we're still kind of working out the details on this, but it's going to be one market a month starting in June, and it's going to be from 4 to 7. It's going to take over the square and Water Street. So you'll see more information coming on that as well. We've already lined up some local entertainers to come and just do a kind of acoustic type entertainment, as well as a couple food vendors, and hopefully going to get a lot more farmers. We're working on that, trying to get some pricing for them to get them in. But other than that, I think that's the majority of what we've got coming up. Do you guys have any questions? Awesome.
I'm going to ask Mason Becker to join us up here next. Mason is our Executive Director of the Watertown Redevelopment Authority.
I don't know how I'm going to follow up the rest of you. So many exciting talks and discussions. It's right there, so thanks, everybody. If you heard, my name is Mason Becker, and I see quite a few faces I do recognize here and a few that I don't, so I really appreciate being here tonight. It's my first time at a Main Street Matters. I was supposed to come last year, and then I had to message Melissa and tell her, oh, my whole family tested positive for COVID today, I better not come. And sure enough, I tested positive the next day, so that was probably a good decision. But I'm the Strategic Initiatives and Development Coordinator for the City of Watertown. I've been with the city now for almost a year and a half. It's been great. I appreciate how welcoming so many people have been. And if that title is a little bit of a mouthful, I'm also the RDA Executive Director. And I'm going to talk tonight about some of the things the RDA has been doing and the direction that we're heading over the next year or so. I'm going to cover three things tonight, basically. Where we've been, which is basically the Benson Family Town Square. That's what the RDA did for the last several years. Where we are today, I'm going to highlight some of our grant programs and our revolving loan fund. And then I'm going to talk about where we're going. And the answer to that is the Downtown River Corridor Opportunity Analysis and Strategic Development Plan, which I'm going to regret giving that such a long title. A quick recap on the RDA, where we've been. The RDA was established in 2016 to help develop urban renewal projects in the downtown area. It was designed to encourage both public and private reinvestment in underutilized areas, including new infill housing and commercial developments, job creation, expanding the tax base, and improving quality of life for the citizens of Watertown. The structure, I'm the RDA Executive Director, and there is an RDA board appointed by the Mayor McFarland, who we will hear from in a little bit. It's made up of 7 members from throughout the community. This is our current RDA board, and we've actually seen some changeover over the last year, so there's some new faces. We had some very long-serving members who after 6 years finally got to step down and kind of pass that baton. Today, our chair is Ryan Wagner, and our vice chair is Krista Hurchin. We have 2 council members who also serve on the RDA board, Dan Bartz and Jonathan Lampy. Jacob Moss, Ryan Nowaka recently joined the board, and our longest current serving member is Dave Zimmerman. So he's been quite an asset to the RDA throughout his tenure. So where we've been, I'm not going to cover in detail. I know you've all heard about the Benson Family Town Square in depth. You just heard from Steph Jewell about what's going on there. But that's been a catalytic project for the downtown. I can't speak for all of you, but I do talk to business owners who tell me about how much additional business they bring in when there's events going on. Last year in 2023, there were 36 official events hosted at the town square, and it brought in over 8,000 visitors, with more coming in 2024. Also want to mention that this has brought widespread recognition. The town square was recognized this past year with an EPA Region 5 Brownfield Success Award, and you also heard Melissa mention earlier, is recognized with a Mid-America Placemaking Award. So what are we doing right now that the town square had its grand opening? We're still running our commercial revolving loan fund. That was established in 2017 with the goal of fostering business growth and expansion in the downtown area. The program had seed funding through a portion of the city surplus TIF dollars, and we work with 3 partner banks, Bank First, Exodia Bank, and the Bank of Lake Mills. They provide the funding to that revolving loan fund program. To date, it's generated over $1 million of investment throughout the downtown area. 2 recently approved projects that have been ongoing. Deerfield Properties, and we have Dan Rayfeld here this evening, is doing a project at his warehouse building on Water Street in O'Connell. And then Budget Print actually now has a second revolving loan fund to help fund some exterior work on their property. So it's still generating a lot of success in our downtown area. I didn't know he was going to be here tonight, but we're very thankful to Dr. John Belts and the Dr. John Belts Charitable Foundation for the Belts Foundation Community Grant Program. The Belts Foundation has committed to funding $50,000 of investment for 3 years, which started last year. Basically, there's 2 aspects of the program. There's a special event grant program, which funds events throughout the downtown area, and then there's a business grant program. This past year, the Belts grants funded 2 commercial projects. There was one at Pine Hill Farm right across the street, and then one a little ways down Main Street at Central Block. It also funded several events throughout the downtown, and if you want to see evidence of those, they're on the RDA website. We actually just reopened the Belts grant program today for new applications. I know there's at least one person here who's been waiting with bated breath for that. So we're expecting a lot more success from that program in 2024, and we're very thankful to Dr. Belts for his generosity. One new program that we're very excited about is the Housing Rehab Grant Program. That recently launched. It's funded by $100,000 of ARPA money provided by the city government, And this meets a goal of both the city and the RDA of preserving existing housing stock in the city of Watertown. It's open to anybody in the city of Watertown to apply, both owners and renters. There are different levels of assistance based on income levels, and that's laid out on the grant program information on the RDA's website. Provides up to $10,000 per grant. We got an initial 30 inquiries on the program, and we're close to approving 3 applications already for that program. We are still open to applications, so if you know anybody with a home that is interested in doing a repair project, have them take a look at our website and find out information on that program. So, where are we going? Why a downtown river corridor plan? Why now? What is that? Well, if you go back and look at the city's 2019 comprehensive plan, it talked about getting 3 big things done for the redevelopment of the downtown. It talked about public library renovation and expansion. It talked about constructing a town square. And then the third thing was Riverwalk and riverfront enhancement. So the RDA board has decided that this is a good natural next step for the redevelopment authority to take on. But we're not doing this in a vacuum. We're tying it together with other redevelopment programs in the downtown. We've already talked about downtown business revitalizations. The Katy Street Bridge was rehabbed last year. The Main Street Bridge reconstruction is starting and ongoing. You'll hear from Mayor McFarland later on that. And then that's going to lead up to the 2028 total reconstruction of Main Street. Much of the planning with that has already been done and taken place through the Downtown Main Street Task Force. This is about more than just infrastructure, though. We'll get to that shortly. The request for proposal was put out in January, and the submission deadline was this past Friday, March 15th. I'm pleased to announce a total of 8 submissions were received for that request for proposal. So we got a ton of interest from firms and groups that are interested in help guide this planning project for our downtown riverfront area. The selection of the firm will be on March 29th after scoring an evaluation. And I just want to say that this is not through anything I've done or the RDA did recently with this RFP. This is the work all of you have done over the past decade and more to revitalize Watertown and make it a place where people want to come and do projects. It's really exciting. But we're not starting from scratch. This is going to tie going all the way back to 2003 with some of the master planning work that Vanderwall and Associates had done, and then redevelopment resources in 2014. Some of you might remember Kristen Fish-Peterson. She was the first executive director of the RDA. She was involved with that. The Riverwalk concept, that's also not brand new. Back in 2016, the city hired Ayers and Associates, an engineering firm, to do preliminary design work for a riverwalk in that downtown riverfront area. So again, not starting from scratch, trying to bring everything together and build a bigger vision. So one thing I like to point out, looking back at that 2014 plan, sometimes we think of these planning documents as this pretty picture that we put up on a bookshelf and then it just sits there and gathers dust. The city actually followed through on many of those 2014 recommendations. They transitioned the old Community Development Authority into the RDA. They created a revolving loan fund. We built the Benson Family Town Square. There's been downtown revitalization. We looked at land use opportunities and so forth, and it's leading up to the reconstruction of the Main Street Bridge that's ongoing today. So, I mentioned the Riverwalk, I mentioned addressing the riverfront, things like the seawall, tie into that, some of the vegetation, overgrowth things will be addressed, but this is going to be a lot more than that. It's going to be analyzing potential sites for development and reactivation, recommending design and layout for the Riverwalk, reviewing potential amenities. There's going to be public engagement and so on. So we want this to be an open process. It's not going to be something where the RDA just does something behind closed doors. It's going to be a public process. We want public input and engagement, especially from folks like you that are active in our downtown area. On that map, I realize it's a little bit, not the sharpest image there, but that shows roughly the outline of the study area that's going to be included. So if you start at the south end from the Milwaukee Street Bridge, go north a little ways past the Katy Street Bridge, There's reactivation sites that I think all of you are aware of, and we want a firm to come in and take a look at those and make recommendations. What makes sense in this location? We've got a vacant building here. What's maybe a marketable use for this site? We want to give not only residents, but developers and business owners a vision that they can buy into when they're looking at some of these sites. So, like I just said, it's about creating a vision, painting a picture the community can see, creating buy-in, offering developers and business owners the opportunity to be part of this revitalization. And we want to be proactive. We don't just want to sit here passively and wait for something to happen. The image on the right there, that is actually one I borrowed from the city of Hartford back in 2016. They did a similar planning project, and they created images just like that one that you see there. We're hoping to have a final document as a product that'll have similar visionary imaging that we can share with people that are interested. So we see this, the RDA, as the next step in our journey as a community. Obviously, I work in economic development, and I talk about it a lot, and I think people, when they hear economic development, they think of trying to attract big factories and big buildings, big new projects to the downtown, and creating jobs. And yes, those things are great and they're important, but economic development today in 2024 is a lot more than just that. It's about placemaking. It's about addressing issues like housing, childcare, education. It's engaging with stakeholders, people like you, and it's about building community. So we really think this downtown river corridor plan is going to help move us forward in a lot of those key areas. So with that, if it's okay, I want to open up to just a little bit of Q&A here if anybody has any questions.
The grant money, would they be owner-occupied houses up to 10,000?
They can be owner-occupied or rental. That's a great question. Yep. We wanted it to be open to anybody. Nobody else? Okay. My contact info is on there, and if I haven't met you yet or haven't talked to you in a while, please stop by. I'm happy to meet you and talk.
So next, it is my pleasure to introduce Watertown Mayor Emily McFarland, who's going to talk about the bridge construction project and the future road construction project through Main Street.
Super exciting to come after inspiring speeches like those we heard from our businesses and talk about the bridge. So can't wait to really encourage you guys with this one. No, I'm just kidding. I actually have really come to love talking about infrastructure, which should tell you how great my life is, that I'm just so inspired by bridges and roads and seawalls. I always joke with people who sit with me in development meetings, and I say, I used to be a dreamer, and now I'm just a realist. And I talk about things like this. Some of you have heard me say that. But why I've come to sincerely care for it and love it is it's a connection point. You all and your incredible businesses rely on critical services and infrastructure that we get the pleasure of supporting and maintaining, and in this case, updating. So I'm going to chat a little bit about the Main Street Bridge, and then we'll talk about the two different street reconstruction projects. For those of you that were here for the chamber chat, I think we did that in the fall perhaps. I have tried to update a lot of this information that needed updating, but I already noticed one area that I didn't. So we'll see if there's a sleuth in the room who catches my mistake. So first of all, about the Main Street Bridge. Many of you know the bridge was originally planned to be replaced in 2026. Through a lot of advocacy and storytelling, we were able to move that up to 2025, and then through just sheer grit and determination, and I think the annoyance of the Department of Transportation, we almost successfully moved that up to 2024. We have done just continual exploratory work in this area. Our new public works director, city engineer, Andrew Breyer, has been just a cornerstone of this project in identifying just the various structural issues that we have with the bridge. I'm going to try not to spend a lot of time talking about them, but I'm happy to answer questions if anyone has specifics about the condition of the bridge, the condition of the buildings, and how we are here today. We have been talking about this bridge for many years, and in that allowed us to have a lot of conversations about things like design. So I had to ask Andrew for this picture because I haven't looked at the design of this bridge in honestly probably 2 years. But if you're thinking to yourself, the bridge looks similar to the one we have now, I think the answer is yes. I think we did public information sessions that are required through DOT. I remember us not having a ton of stakeholder engagement at the time, but we wound up having a bridge that was approved by the State Historical Society, which is obviously very important in a historic downtown. And we wanted to ensure that we could match some of the other materials and aesthetics in the downtown. So the black is intentional, the iron is intentional, even the shape of the symbols or the shapes on the bridge concrete are intentional. So the railings and the arches were to meet historic relevance, and then also just to make sure that it blended in with other components of the downtown. So you see here is a water view. It'll have those large arching that connect to girders, and then obviously the street view will have very similar, if not nearly identical, railing to that's by the town square. We did the best we could during that design phase to have that material be the same, but I will tell you the DOT's iron is far more expensive than anyone would imagine it to be. So here's just a super high level version of the difficulties with the bridge. We do this nearly every day, and in some cases multiple times a day. And if you're on my team, you've been in my office, and Andrew's walked in and knocked with his gentle knock, reminding me that we have an issue on the bridge we'll need to take care of. But these are the big ones. So in 2020, we had some beam repair near the Benson Family Town Square. And then also that same year, we had West Bridge approach repair work. This was work that our city crews were largely able to do, but we knew that that was kind of the tipping point that we were going to start to have some more chronic and constant maintenance and inspection issues with the bridge. In 2022, we had the bridge deck and the railing removed near the Bank First site. This was found through an inspection. If you look down into that hole that was there, you would see that the I-beams had massive deterioration, and so we could no longer support the sidewalk. So if you're picturing that large wooden structure that's been over the sidewalk by Bank First, that's what we're referring to here. That led to the closure of that sidewalk over the bridge, which led to our concrete barriers and those being painted, and the sidewalk that's been in the parking lane. In 2023, we installed the plate over the eastbound driving lane. I feel like this was the one though that got people. After that one, people would be like, "Can I drive on the bridge?" And I was like, "Of course you can. You would never leave the bridge open if you can." But that then also led to the 20-ton weight limit. So all of these things, as painful as they were, really helped us paint the picture that this bridge needed to get moved up. It was not going to make it to 2026. And the last thing we wanted was an extended period of bridge closure for our downtown and for our community at large. We had obviously a lot of work on the expense side of this project. So the bridge project is around like $4.2 million. The disconnection work that you see happening today and that you've seen happening for the last few months is about $2 million. We did not obviously have $2 million sitting in our city budget for this purpose. And so Senator Jagler and Representative Penterman and Representative Bourne and the governor all were very instrumental in our effort to get it earmarked in this last biennial budget. That really allowed us to be able to do this work. There was a point where the senator asked me, "Well, what will you do if we don't get it?" And I literally, I don't know, is what I said. And that's not something I say very often. I try to have a plan for the plan for the plan. And there was no amount of nipping and tucking and pulling dollars that would have come up to $2 million in order to do this work. So if you see Senator Jagler or Representative Penterman, please thank them. They deserve the gratitude for that. So the bridge today, obviously there's a lot of work that's happening. We have successfully disconnected the bridge from the former foundation of the Bank First building, where is now Bank First, so the former bank building. The final disconnection of the bridge from the Masonic Temple will happen during the reconstruction of the bridge, because we need something called a cofferdam. Anyone know what a cofferdam is? It's essentially like a barrier in the river that holds back water. And so those are very expensive to install, and they also require a lot of permits, because you can't just raise and lower and alter the water in the river. There is fish habitat and wildlife we can't inadvertently kill. There are many, many rules about a waterway, and for good reason. And so one of the ways we were able to negotiate with the DOT was to allow us to use their cofferdam, which saved us a lot of money. If we needed our own cofferdam, I would venture to say the project would probably not have happened on this timeline. We have successfully stabilized the Masonic Temple building, so that was a big project we needed to ensure we could do before the bridge could happen. And WISDOT did bid the project. The bid closed last week, and there were 2 bids. And so we should know by the end of this month if they are going to award that project and have bridge construction start pretty quickly thereafter. If they award the project, the bridge will stay closed, and we will aim for that work to begin in April and then have it complete by the winter. There is a date buried in these agreements, and I try not to share dates because I've been doing construction projects long enough to know something is definitely going to move that date one way or another. And so we are at this point saying that the bridge project would finish up in the winter of 2024. If we don't, if the DOT does not award the project by, in these next couple of weeks, then we will work to reopen the bridge. I am very, I'm very positive that this will happen. I have had some initial conversations, and if they can come to terms with the 2 people who did publicly bid, so you can see that on their website, there's 2 public bids. They're 2 very good companies who build bridges. So that is the big reassurance. Knowing that this bridge is an anomaly in a lot of ways, there's a lot of risk, inherent risk involved for a contractor to bid that project. So I was super relieved to see the bidders that they got and to know that they're experienced bridge builders. So, so that's the scenario on the bridge. Next is the Main Street reconstruction update in 2028. So there's going to also be a reconstruction in 2029, but I'll share more about 2028's project just because that one's coming first. So there is a city and state intergovernmental agreement to reconstruct Main Street between Church and Market. So I generally say from Church Street to about Zwiggs Grill or Sharp Corner Park. In 2021, we created a Main Street task force to do exactly what Wes was hoping we would do. As Wes was talking, I was like, we're doing that. The intention was to not just allow new pavement and new sidewalk to go in, but to really plan and leverage the opportunity to have a vision around the reconstruction of our roadway. And so we created the task force in 2021, and I'll talk a little bit about the work that they've done. For most of you that are on Main Street, you already know this is a connecting highway. All this means is that we don't have control over the bridge. We don't have control over the roadway. We have to work with the DOT. And there are benefits to that. And one of those biggest benefits is this. So the overall project infrastructure is around $4.2 million. I actually think that might be for the bridge now that I'm looking at it. And that wasn't the mistake I knew I made. The state covers 100% of a lot of these expenses. So they cover the travel lanes and the pavement, they cover curb and gutter, they'll cover the sidewalks, storm sewer, traffic signals, and street lighting. So we are averaging, that's how I know this number's not right, it's gonna be about $1 million a block. And so considering that they pay 100% of that expense, it's obviously a huge upside for the city. We will have to pay 100% of the parking lanes, 100% of the water and sanitary improvements, and you see the utility work cost there. We're also looking at upgrades to street lighting and updates to benches, trash receptacles, all of those types of things, which I'll share a little bit more about in a moment here, are city costs. In 2022, the city invested around $200,000 in our ARPA money to do a mill and overlay of the driving lane and then to do seal coating of the parking lanes. Those were never intended to be, long-term maintenance work. Typically, when we do like a mill and overlay, you'll get maybe like 10 years, 7 years, 8 years, depending upon the traffic that drives on that roadway. So this actually does time out quite well for how roads should be maintained. Here's a little bit about our task force. The sign that's on the screen, I hope you guys have seen. The bridge project has allowed us to kind of accelerate some of the items that the Main Street Task Force has prepared. One is this sign to encourage people to obviously continue to go around our detour and use our downtown businesses. The main objectives for the task force were to provide support to our downtown businesses before, during, and after the reconstruction project, and then to also engage the community in compiling this guiding design for the reconstruction of Main Street. So these are the task force members up here on the screen. What we've done so far since starting in 2021 is we've done a downtown parking study. That, I believe, was the third parking study in the downtown. We've created a comprehensive list of recommendations and then prioritized those by tier. And then we've also assigned these task force members to be a liaison to particular blocks in the downtown. We also hired a professional planning and consultant to do our downtown Main Street master plan. So Vanderbilt Associates and High Level Studio really guided us through a very intensive effort. This was an effort completed by a subgroup of the Main Street Task Force, and then we reported back and got the approval of the Main Street Task Force, and we talked about a wide variety of options that I'm going to share with you here. I'm not going to speak through that. The legend, frankly, I can't read on this screen, but I'm hoping you all can read it on that one. What we did here is we talked about every single intersection to see what type of use would make the most sense, where crosswalks of greater detail would make more sense. We talked about things like bubblers and benches and parklets and wider pedestrian walkways. All of those items, and this plan is on our city website for anyone who wants to see more. All of those items are items that we are delivering to the DOT for them to incorporate into their design. I know that they've already kind of given us feedback on a couple of the bump out locations because they need certain turn radiuses for semi-traffic. But all of this is to demonstrate to you the level of detail that went into the reconsideration and redesign of Main Street. This is just a conceptual rendering. I'm going to show you a few components in a moment. We talked about things like lighting, block identity features, just different types of flower planters and seating, street trees, which is like my favorite thing in this entire project, and just talking about creating a space where people want to be. I may have said this already, but in case if I have, go with me. When I first started in this job, my husband was like, "Oh man, Oconomowoc so beautiful." I was like, Kyle, I know, it really is, but so is Watertown. And so I forced him to look at their downtown, and the biggest difference is the softening of the concrete. It's the trees, the planters, things that Melissa and her team have done a tremendous job of adding where we can. But when you have essentially a maze of conduit, sometimes 6 inches, sometimes 12 inches, below the sidewalk, you can't do things like plant street trees. And so we have to re-dig up an entire sidewalk and boulevard and road, relocate those utilities to be able to have some of these amenities. So I'm so eager for our opportunity just to soften the aesthetic in the downtown and then to add a little bit of historically appropriate character. So when I gave this presentation in the fall, I gave a lot of examples of all of these. So I want to disclaimer this by saying this is, of each of these things you see on the screen right now, this is one example of many. There's many versions of the arch. There's in fact 2 pylons instead of an arch. There are locating these arches at this end of the downtown and at the east end of the downtown. The only thing that we're committed to at this point are the lamp posts. And we had to commit to the lampposts because the DOT needs them in their design. So when we gave them these plans, again, this project is 2028. In the fall of 2023, they were at 30% design. So that's how far in advance they design these projects, which means we had to have our ducks in a row before you start giving them things in 2023 for a project in 2028. The other item that I always like to call people's attention to is some of the signage. We hear a whole lot about parking in the downtown. Every study that we've done confirms we have enough parking in the downtown. People don't know how to get to it. It's not appropriately signed. And there's perhaps a need for parking in a certain area of the downtown. So we have enough, but we could relocate some, particularly actually to this part of the downtown. So we have a couple of things in the way of signage plan. One are these block markers. They're polarizing, which is okay. I think it's alright that some people love the block markers and some people don't prefer them. At least gets us talking about identity and about identifying areas of the community and just saying, oh, I'm in the 600 block or I'm at the 300 block. The parking signage is something that we know that we need to invest in. The parking signage might be something that you actually see popping up before the reconstruction of Main Street in the parking lots themselves. And then obviously there's wayfinding signage. We did continue with certain benches and tree planters and trash cans that were Melissa guided us on the items that were still in very good condition, that have seen recent investment, that worked with the design. And so those items we kept. Obviously banners is something that we've come to really appreciate and leverage in a lot of ways here in the community. So you're gonna see some elements that are the same, but you're gonna see also elements that are modern mixed with historic. and all of them are in line with the brand. So they go with our colors. The orange actually is a complementary brand color. We don't use it a whole lot, probably because people don't like the orange. I know there's plenty of people that don't. I prefer the blue and green, but it does allow us to continue to have that intentional identity behind our city logo. So this is where I did not update my slide on this first bullet point. We have already provided the preliminary design to DOT. That's how they've already kind of started to engage us in conversation about bump outs. The city council will be the ultimate say of what items get done when. So our city team, our internal team, is charged with putting these items into the appropriate budgets. So they'll go into our five-year capital plan. They'll go into the appropriate utility budgets. They'll go into our regular capital outlay budgets. But ultimately, those decisions will rest with the common council. So we have also done, as I said before, quite a bit of communication with businesses. If no one's communicating with you, can you please check in with Mason? If you don't know who your business liaison is, we need to correct that. And so your liaison should be coming to you and passing out a newsletter. The newsletters are in the back, hopefully where you put the cake pops, because then people will grab a cake pop and a newsletter. They're available in English and in Spanish, and they are done bi-monthly or quarterly?
Quarterly.
They're done quarterly. So we're working just to provide you an update, and it's one page, so we're trying to be very quick with the information that we're giving you, knowing that there are a lot of demands for your time. So the 2029 construction will then go from Zweig's or Sharp Corner Park to Tivoli Island. We have already started making decisions at the Public Works Committee about parking, if we want it on both sides or not. So this discussion and design is already starting. The design will start more in earnest once the designer assigned to the 2028 project has completed their work. And then this will be a state-run project as well. So in summary, the bridge is what's going to happen most immediately. I wanted to be able to tell you today, if this was happening perhaps on April 1st, I'd be able to tell you. I do know that they're actively engaging in conversation, so I'm feeling very hopeful that we'll be able to announce the formal reconstruction timeline. And then for 2028, we're still on track, in 2029 as well. So I'm happy to answer any questions that people may have, or just hear your comments or your feedback in general. Yes?
I'm just wondering, I live on the river, so are they gonna be lowering the river for part of the bridge repair, so I know that I can get my river fund fixed?
There has been conversation about lowering the river. I'm gonna hesitate to answer yes or no, because it was a clear yes, we're gonna lower the river. And recently, because I think Riverfest started asking questions about a fishing tournament, the DOT started saying, well, we might not have to lower it at that time. So are you a Bell, correct?
Yes.
We'll make sure that we follow up with you.
Thank you.
Yep. I tell people the truth. It was a yes, now it's a maybe, but we'll let you know when we know for sure. Yes?
Do we plan on keeping one-way roads in downtown?
That's a great question. This year, we have in our budget a transportation network study, and this is something that came out of the Main Street Task Force. So again, having a real intentional purpose behind the reconstruction of Main Street, it only makes sense to talk about the one-way streets that are around it. So the one-way streets came about in, I think, the 70s, and that was when not many of us sitting in this room, sat downtown in our cars. We pulled Mainers and then hung out downtown. I know I pulled Mainers, and that was the 90s. And so, but traffic has changed, right? And people aren't sitting in their cars to hang out downtown anymore. And so it does warrant a study. We can't just make that decision to make things one-way. There's some things that seem very obvious to me to not make it a one-way street anymore. But we have to actually hire consultants to perform the necessary studies in order to tell us if roads can be switched. That's budgeted for this year. That's called the Transportation Network Evaluation, so we should have the outcome of that. I don't know if it would be this year or into early next year.
Is that something different than what happened on Second Street? Second Street is one-way?
I can't speak to that. I wasn't here when we were making that decision, at least I wasn't in this position. All I know is that we can't make any adjustments, we shouldn't make adjustments without properly studying the effect upstream and downstream. So a lot of people asked before the streetlights were hit, so I can't take the credit for that. Someone emailed me and was like, can you make that a four-way stop? And I literally that morning emailed her like, oh man, that's such a great question, but no, we can't just change something to a four-way stop. Was it you? Oh, you were shaking your head like, you were me. I was like, shoot, I really outed myself. Because it does impact up and down streets. Like if we made this right here a four-way stop, you could inadvertently impact traffic on Church Street. So we don't just make those types of choices. So for us, we will ensure that we appropriately study the impacts throughout the entire traffic system. A great example is Milwaukee Street, right? Like people have been sitting at the Shell station because of this closure and they can't turn left for a very long period of time. So this is now a problem. This is why I'm not a dreamer anymore and why I'm so logical. It's so expensive to have people come and change these lights. So we were trying to be conscientious about not changing the lights downtown until we knew we were gonna do the bridge project for sure. We knew that we were gonna have, that we had an issue pre-existing at Milwaukee Street, so we changed those lights so the left turn arrow is indeed going longer. But my point being, there's always an unintended consequence, and so we will study before we make a change. Sure, of course, it's always a part of it. I don't know, we haven't budgeted, we haven't kicked it up yet. I'm betting though there's a public information meeting that's baked in. We typically have PIMs in most of our contracts. Yeah.
Murals that are downtown, I heard someone say that they're gonna keep all the existing murals and maybe update those. Is that like a set in stone thing? Some of them are a little crazy.
Well, I appreciate you asking that. I have no control over murals. So I'm gonna punt that question to someone else in this room. No, so it really is a good question because I think people do think that we are in control of those. So those murals are done on privately owned buildings, right? So our limits to being involved is to giving someone an occupy the right of way permit to be on the sidewalk. So I don't know if Melissa or Robin can answer that. I can't answer that.
I mean, it's exactly what you said, they are privately owned businesses, so when we're approached, we can certainly get them either to the original artist, because a lot of the original artists are still doing a lot of the work. We can connect it with a different artist and we can help with funding, but ultimately it's their project.
The building,
Yeah, someone who would maybe consider.
Yes, yes, we can certainly get that.
Mural. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
It's probably a bit premature since it's still a few years out, but a lot of the Main Street businesses that are going to be mostly impacted by the street closure, like, is there a plan that's already being discussed about how those businesses are going to allow customers to come in their
Yeah.
business?
Yep, so something that Wes mentioned as well is, studying other communities, and we've done that. We met like the earliest days of the task force by meeting with other communities who have done reconstruction projects. And we met with a couple of consultants that have aided them in those reconstruction projects. So we knew what our kind of menu of work needed to be. And one of them is obviously building access. And so what we've done an alley assessment, because we'll go block by block, we know that we will be able to activate rear entrances in a lot of cases, not in every case. And we know that in order to activate rear entrances, we need to update alleys. Some of those alleys are privately owned and some are city owned. And so on the city side, we've started to prioritize and budget and plan into our future budgets for those city-owned alleys to be updated. We actually tried to get one in the budget, and I think it came in over budget, and so the project didn't happen. But we have additional time in order to do that. So our plan at this point is activating rear entrances and then signage for rear entrances. So we're working on a consistent, that's something we heard from other communities, a consistent same sign that will be on every single building that wants one, of course, that tells people, you see the sign and I need to go to the back, and then they have signage on the back of buildings. We know that that's not going to help everybody in all cases though, and that's why the liaison is going to be so important. So we can't, one size fits all that, but we know that we can address a lot of them by activating rear entrances. And then we'll work with the businesses that don't have that as an option. Yes?
I'm on Fourth Street, and we have a private, each of us owns the easement on our alley. What are we going to do? I mean, I'm on the corner, so I don't have a problem.
Sure.
What about the other businesses that are in the alley?
Yeah, so we've been very forthcoming at our Main Street Task Force meetings, which we do hold during the day, and I want to own why. We have businesses on it, and that's what they wanted. So we have people who wanted to come at a particular time of day and to not go into their evenings. We offer them virtual and in person, and we always keep them to 90 minutes. But we've been very forthcoming in those meetings about the fact that there are going to be things the city can't do. I don't own those buildings, I don't own, we don't own that alley, so there are going to have to be items that are just collaboratively done between building and business owners downtown, like we've seen time and time again, like you heard tonight over and over again. Missy's right, we got it going on. This is a place where we take care of each other. We did it during COVID, and I know we'll do it again. We're doing it right now. So but I want to be forthcoming. I obviously won't be the mayor in 2028 when this project happens, but I want people to reflect and remember that this is I'm telling you, the city cannot solve every X in this equation. We just don't have the bandwidth, the money, or quite frankly, nor should we, the property, right? Like, those are your rights. So I would really encourage people in predicaments just like you're describing, where it's shared access and easements, to start navigating those conversations early, so that everyone is in a comfortable position when the time does come.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any last questions? Okay, thank you.
Are there any questions about anything that wasn't discussed tonight that pertains to the downtown that we could try to answer for you? You guys are an easy group. Thank you. All right, well, with that, thank you for coming.
So I don't know if most of you know this, I'm Kevin Clifford with the Vice President of the Main Street Program, and this is Melissa's last official act as the Executive Director. It's been 8 years of greatness, we call it. She's been instrumental to helping the downtown thrive and fix and bring activity and everything downtown. We couldn't have done it without her. She is doing a little flip, taking a little different job, and we wish her well. We do have a gift basket for you from the board members, but a big hand of applause for
Thank you, everyone. I sincerely appreciate that. What Kevin didn't add is I gently nag a lot to help get things done. So for everyone who I push with a feather, thank you so much for creating wonderful buildings and wonderful businesses. And it's been a wonderful experience for the past 8 years, but none of it would have been possible without everyone here in this room, everyone doing their own part. So thank you.